All right, guys, we are back with another episode of Puckin Around. Puckin Around, no G. I am Cody Pucks. If you are watching on YouTube, you can see I got a new little setup here. Probably need a taller shelf or something to get a little better angle, but it's a work in progress. Today we're going to be talking to Edmonton Oilers, and we are joined by Colby. Colby, where are you at right now, and how you doing?
How's it going, Cody? Been a long time coming here, trying to get this interview going, but I'm in a town called Vegreville, Alberta right now. It's a big Ukrainian town, about an hour east of Edmonton, I guess.
So we got a true Edmonton fan here. We were just talking here briefly before. He does work all throughout Canada, and for me, I have no sense of direction up in Canada. So I always find it interesting. One of my favorite questions is, what was the temperature there today? And he told me it was 85, just like here in Cincinnati. I don't know why I can't wrap my brain around that. But anyway, Colby, last season, the Oilers started out slow, and then things got better. They went on a run. It felt like the whole world was behind them when they made it to the finals. Their backs were against the wall, down 0-3, and then here comes McDavid and the crew. They come back to tie it up, but fall just short. The beginning of the season, when they start, what were they, 2-10 to start the season? Something crazy. The Sharks beat them. Everything was going downhill. What was your mindset through that little stint to begin the year?
My mind, it was hell, man. Sell all my jerseys, sell all my Oilers stuff. Just giving up on them. It was tough.
Losing to the Stanley Cup champs, also the two prior years. You get that out of the gate. Things could not. I mean,
it was a pretty positive. Like coming into the year, at the end of the last year, was cup or bust their mentality, and they all started. Before camp, they were all together in the summer early, so they kind of had a good feeling starting the season, and to just start out the way it did, it was just quite frustrating and hard to deal with.
They got rid of the coach, brought in a new guy, McDavid's guy, and then things started to change. He switched up the power play a little bit, from my understanding. Not a stats guy, but that's what I heard. Things started going better. McDavid started playing like McDavid. Not much more to say. What did you think of kind of the supporting cast this year around McDavid and Draisaitl?
I think this year the beginning of the year, obviously, that was a write-up. But once everything started rolling, I think they're kind of not talked about enough. I think the supporting cast did a great job throughout most of the season. I mean, they all had their ups and downs, but they're not superstars. They're not expected to be going, 100% every night and putting on a show. But I think they came to play all season. Really,
yeah.
The odd guy. I wasn't super impressed with McLeod throughout the year. I kind of expected more out of him as a young guy with the speed he has. He's kind of irrelevant if you ask me, but I guess we don't have to worry about that now. He's not here anymore, but I think they all stepped up. Really, you couldn't ask for any more from them.
Right. And the thing that I always kind of go back and forth with in my head is, and they did a lot of experiment with it this year, McDavid and Draisaitl playing the same line. I think, in my opinion, you got to spread the wealth. You can't have two of your best guys skating together, eating up minutes together. Yes, it is a formidable force. Not sure if that's a saying. It's tough with them two in there, but what do you think?
I think it's something you throw out. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but after the penalty kill, normally they throw them out together. I think that's fine. They've been sitting. Neither of them kill penalties. So to get them out there and going and get the momentum back, I'm fine with. But you're totally right. Playing them all game, to me, it's awesome to watch. But your bottom three lines are a lot weaker when you do that. Now, if you look forward to this year, there's a lot more options with what they did in the summer, right? They don't have to worry about that as much.
Right. And midway through the season, they added Enrique. He provided some production there in the playoffs for you guys. Corey Perry, locker room guy, I guess. Connor Brown looked really good in the playoffs to me, man. He was skating around.
If he didn't have the playoffs, he'd be done in my mind. But he proved himself in the playoffs. He stepped up. I mean, he came off a horrible injury that we all kind of don't talk about. We just think he should be out there scoring goals. But he did come off a terrible injury. He missed a whole season of playing NHL caliber hockey. That's a huge step back, right? And he got in there. He didn't have a great season, but he didn't look out of place, if you ask me. He just didn't produce. And then come playoff time, he stepped up huge.
Yeah, and I like getting that perspective from. Do you watch pretty much every single Oilers game throughout the year?
Yeah. I don't think I missed one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so you're seeing them every night. I'm seeing them. I do watch the Oilers more than most teams because Mr. Ice takes them on a lot of overs. They score a lot of goals. They are fun to watch. But I like getting that perspective of Connor Brown because I would never know that he didn't produce during the year. And I just look when the lights shine brightest, that's when I notice them. And a guy like that can take a breakaway in the playoffs. It seemed like every breakaway it was him. And
oh yeah,
thrown in the back of the net. I mean, those are fun.
A lot of shit got put on him. His contract was bonus heavy. If he played, I don't quote me, but if he made 10 games, I think it was, he got a big bonus next year. Not big, but in our cap situation, it's enough, right? And I think throughout the season, it kind of casted a bad light on him. And now what he did in the playoffs, I think everyone's fine with it.
Yeah, and you guys got into the playoffs. First round, LA took care of LA pretty easily. Expected, I don't know. There were a couple people that were trying to get sexy and take LA, but I really didn't think that LA had a chance against them. I thought that was the best matchup. If they saw Vegas in the first round, I was scared. And me having my future, it came down to the last day before the playoffs too, didn't it?
You did. You had Vegas as a future?
No, I had Edmonton.
Oh, okay.
And I did not want to see Vegas.
Yeah,
and I remember it came down to that last night, and whew.
Yeah, I can't remember who was playing, but it was down to the last night of the season. You're right.
Yep, they got through LA pretty easily. Then another sexy team that everyone was kind of rooting for, it seemed like, it was Vancouver. They were down 3-2. What were your thoughts down 3-2? Did you think the season was over, or were you thinking positively?
To be honest with you, I wasn't thinking positively, but we have Connor McDavid.
Yeah,
you can never count him out. Always, I mean, Skinner's proved himself, but it's always a thought in your mind. It's not that he's not the number one goalie that you could just expect to be lights out every night, right? So there's always that little doubt in your mind, and it's always been not just Skinner, but every goalie we've had for, I don't know, since Roley was in net. We've never had a goalie that you could constantly rely on, right, and not be a little bit worried. Mm-hmm. So when we were down 3-2, I was definitely nervous.
Needed two big ones from Skinner, and so Skinner, I agree with you. He's not, he's not the most consistent, but he does get hot, and when he gets hot, he's good enough. When you got guys like Draisaitl, McDavid, I mean, that's Draisaitl, McDavid, top. They're both top 5 players, right?
Absolutely. And I don't know what it is with Skinner, if it's his style or what, but he just doesn't look, even when he's hot, he looks shaky, but he's still stopping the puck, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hate when goalies are all flinchy.
Yeah.
And he's pretty flinchy. I would rather a goalie move over and let one in and just be standing there, like just get in front of it. It's just easier on my eye. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's absolutely down 3-2. It was absolutely nerve-wracking.
They come back and they get it done though. Then you see the stars. Game 1, Edmonton had it won, didn't they? And that's the one that we thought they needed. I think it was 2-1 in that series. Edmonton had a huge Game 4, was it? I think that was one of my play of the months.
Yeah, it was Game 4.
I think that was one of my play of the months where things were not looking good there, but Edmonton won. And So that's what it was. They won at home, and then they went to Dallas to win Game 5 to kind of flip the series real quick. And then they shut them down in Game 6. All of a sudden, you're in the Stanley Cup Finals, and you got a tough opponent in Florida. But what were you thinking at the start?
So the Dallas series was, I was kind of unsure. Like after we beat Vancouver, I thought Vancouver was a better team than Dallas personally. Once we beat them, I had a bit of confidence rolling, like myself personally, going into Dallas. And they're young. Dallas is good. Like they got some good young players, some good veterans. They're a hell of a team.
Wyatt Johnston is the man.
Oh yeah, and they're not talked about much at all.
No.
Like they're pretty slept on. So I didn't know what to expect after watching the first game though. I kind of had a pretty good feeling the way it was going to go. But the game when we clinched, man, I was excited. I haven't seen it in 20 years. Last time I seen them clinch to go to the Cup, so it was quite the night. Yeah.
You get Florida. What's your confidence level against Florida? Tough opponent.
I think I called it a success of a season, I guess, if you look at that way, just getting there. So I wasn't really one way or the other on it. But as far as playing Florida, I had my worries. I know they're a tougher team. That's one thing I think Edmonton lacks quite a bit is toughness. They have some tough guys, but Florida's just all around tough. Like they're a grind. They grind and they put the body to you, and they make you pay for it quick. And I mean, we've seen that in the first 3 games for sure.
Yeah, and that's where I think we first talked. I had a Spaces, and you kept telling me Edmonton's fine. Edmonton's fine.
Well, that was the first game, right?
Yeah,
that was the first game, wasn't it?
Game, yep.
Yeah, and I thought Edmonton was a better team in that game, for sure. Yeah, I remember that Spaces, and I was confident they were the better team. Obviously, Florida won, but I thought after that game, it kind of built my confidence that they could play with them.
They fall behind to 0-3, and then you gave your son the Leon Draisaitl jersey. Is that right? Talk about the magic of that jersey.
Yeah, he got the jersey. So he got the jersey. I don't remember when he got it, but anyways, he wore it for Game 4. He got the jersey before that, but he got it. I bought the jersey last year playoffs. He wore it to watch Game 4, and that was the first time he wore it, and they won. And that's what I was telling you about it. Got the mojo going.
It's funny how as sports fans we look at just the smallest things, like
everything.
Something might be wrong, and I'm exactly like that to probably the highest degree.
Pretty.
But
bad.
he has to wear the Draisaitl jersey for the rest of the series.
Absolutely. No so questions. The next game I was on the road. I wasn't at home with him. Told his mom, make sure he's wearing the jersey. Make sure he's wearing the jersey.
You get to a Game 7 and ultimately obviously fall short, but I think you called the season a success. And I don't know. A lot of people are asking, where do the Oilers go from here? But they got into free agency and added some good pieces. Now, there are 2 in particular I want to talk about. Victor Arvidsson, you know about this guy?
I know of him. I'm not going to tell you I know a ton about him, but I like what I see out of him. I know. Yeah, I think he had some injuries last year.
So I'm going to tell you right now, he was injured last year, but I'm going to tell you, the season before last, Victor Arvidsson was my boy, and I'm telling you, he's a really good player. If he comes back healthy off of that injury, you guys got something there, and I'm very serious about that. You are going to like him. You also added Jeff Skinner. What are your thoughts on Skinner?
I love it.
Never made the playoffs in his life, though.
That's crazy. We talked about how Dallas is on. Nobody talks about Dallas. Nobody talks about Jeff Skinner. He's always played in these small markets, right? I don't know. Was he drafted by Buffalo? Was it?
I know he's from Buffalo. That's how I know him.
Okay. So anyways, smaller market teams. He's getting up there in age, but he's still a hell of a player. You put him in. I think I seen the projected lineup would be him, Draisaitl, and Arvidsson. as a second line.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I see.
How do you not like that lineup as a second line?
Oh boy, yeah, that's a really good one because Skinner can kind of play. He can be the aggressor, or he can be just that solid role player. Because
That's right.
Draisaitl's going to be camping in his little spot over there, waiting for big old slappies with that
And he's
oar that he has.
and Draisaitl's always had to play with somebody that should probably be on the third or fourth line.
Right.
One out of three guys shouldn't probably be there.
And I think he does a good job of lifting those guys up. But
he does.
If you give him more skill, yeah, I see what you're saying.
You let him play with some people his caliber instead of having to be with McDavid every night. Now all of a sudden you got McDavid's line rolling where you don't have to split them up and you don't have to put McDavid and Draisaitl together to get things going. Mm-hmm. You got your 1 and 2 line is solid.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. So Skinner, one thing that I always keep in mind, though, about Skinner is most career games played with 0 playoff games.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. So I don't know what it is, but that's just the facts. One guy quickly that I want to highlight that really, I really think took a big step this year is Evan Bouchard. I mean, he took a huge step, man. And he's I think he's probably in my top 5 defensemen. And I kind of have a soft spot for defensemen that, they play up a little bit and they're more on the scoring front. They like to attack from the blue line, rip slappies. But boy, I like his game. What do you think about him?
So I think it can contribute a lot to playing with Ekholm, who he plays with 99% of the time.
Really solid. Yeah, Ekholm's really solid.
As well, we talked about the new head coach. Paul Coffey also came in as a defensive coach. And I think that changed our defense core huge. And I think that's Coffey was an offensive defenseman big time. And I think that's helping Bouchard a lot too. Now, do I like him? Yeah, I think he's a great defenseman. He puts up points. The contract they're talking about with him, that's another story. I got a few concerns with that. I mean, he's already done a bridge deal, so I understand that. But the dollar amount they're talking for him is a little worrisome, especially after what we've gone through with Nurse. That's one concern I do have with him. But, I mean, you talk about puck moving and offensive threat. Absolutely, he's top notch.
Yeah, and he did have a couple defensive miscues in the playoffs that kind of hurt him. Cheating up a little. I think he kind of gets caught in no man's land doing that stuff. But what number are they talking for him?
So the last rumor I heard was McDavid, Draisaitl, and him are willing to do team-friendly deals. And it was $40 million for the three of them, with him coming in around $10 million a year. Which to me is I know a lot of people, myself included, hate Nurse's contract, and we're stuck with him. We got to go to war with him, so we need to shut up about his contract. There's nothing we can do about it. It's not his fault that he got that contract. Good on him for getting it. But a lot of people slack Nurse and give him shit because of that contract, right?
I like his attitude too and how he handles it. He
absolutely.
That's got to be tough, man.
But I think from a media, I mean, Edmonton media is tough. Like that Mark Spector, they're tough guys to deal with. They ask stupid questions.
I see that guy a lot on Twitter.
Yeah, and I know he pisses everybody off, but everybody and myself, I do it all the time. We always dog him, and I think it's more so because of his contract than his actual play. And I don't want the same thing to happen to Bouchard.
I see. Yeah, and 10's a big number.
Huge.
Off the top of my head, I think. I
think that's more than Makar.
I think it's more than Makar. I think Makar's like 9 something. And I think Darlene from Buffalo has like a huge one that's like, it might be 11, but I don't know. 10's a lot, and it seems a lot just kind of off the rip.
And I'm not an insider or nothing. That's just what I've been seeing.
Right. Have you been seeing anything about Leon? I think I sent you the thing that I saw. I don't know if it was real or not. 13-8 or something. Woo!
I've seen it a couple times. I've seen 13-5.
Yeah. Is the feel there, though, that he's going to stay?
Oh, he wants to stay, but he wants it to be long term. 100% he wants to stay. He doesn't want to do a short term deal.
What's McDavid hooked up for? How many more years does he have?
He got 2 more years.
Two
so
more
1
years,
year
okay.
more than 1 more year. But Draisaitl's been getting paid $8.5 million up till now. So he deserves it. He's been so
Biggest
underpaid.
bargain in the league. Biggest bargain in the league.
Next, and then Hyman's right behind him on the bargain.
Oh, Hyman makes like 5. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's criminal. Somebody else will pay Draisaitl whatever he wants to. They'll
In a
give
heartbeat.
him top dollar, it seems. So
it's the extra year that Edmonton can use, right? He can't sign 8 years somewhere else, but you can go. How can Edmonton not do it?
Yeah.
Right. They got a couple year window here. Yeah. They have to do it. Absolutely.
You lose Bouchard, and you cross that bridge when you get there. You have to keep Leon if he wants to be there.
That's right. And he does. From everything I've seen, I mean, I'm not speaking for him. I don't know him at all, but everything I've seen, he wants to be there. He wants to be there long term, though. He doesn't want a short term deal.
So assuming that Leon is there, what's your expectation on this next season? What would be a successful season to you?
Division, conference final. I mean, this is so cliche, and everybody says it. The cup or bust thing. I mean, you have to.
Seems like it this year.
Would I call it a disappointment to not win the cup? No, obviously not. But it's so hard to win nowadays. But with what they got now, and I think Jackson did a phenomenal job getting the contracts he got this summer. He still has to shed some salary. I know that, unless Kane goes on the IR, which that's kind of a pretty confusing situation. But I think with the lineup they have, I don't see how they don't compete. I think they're plus 850 right now for the cup, something like that.
You got to be one of the top 3 favorites.
I think they're top, and Florida's second. I think, yeah, and then their division. Well, obviously across the board, they're top. So I can't see them not winning the Pacific. But then there's always going to be Vegas is always going to be good. I don't know what LA really did. I think they're probably going to start declining.
I agree.
Vancouver, though, they got
solid,
good young team. Yeah,
we'll see how they come back after that season.
Yeah, but no, I mean, to answer your question, yeah, I'm expecting a cup finals for sure.
I'm with you there, man. I mean, they're, like I said earlier, they're one of my favorite teams to watch just because of that high power flying offense, I think is what I meant to say. They're so fast. When there's a power play, you're on the edge of your seat because you figure it's going in. And did they have this year the highest power play percentage ever?
I think last year was the record they set.
Okay.
And this year, the playoffs, they struggled this year, but the regular season, they were right there again.
Right.
But yeah, I think it was last season they set the NHL record.
Right. So in picking my team for next year, what's always tough for me to do is last year it was Edmonton, and it's always tough for me to go back on a team I just lost on. One thing about futures I will say is you can almost get equivalent odds 60 games into the season, regardless of if they're in great position or not. So anymore, you might as well just bet the future, in April.
Absolutely. You're crazy to do it right now when they don't change that much.
Right. And I expect a lot from Edmonton. And I just always enjoy getting the perspective of a guy like you. How long have you been an Edmonton fan?
Since I was born. I was born in a town called Three Hills, like right in between Edmonton and Calgary. And obviously my old man's an Oilers fan, so I was brought up with it. And I've dealt with Flames fans. I live just south of Calgary right now. That's all I deal with is Flames fans. So
what do you think about those guys?
I can't stand them. I think they got a few years to start building here.
They're not too good. Though I like a couple. I'll dabble in their player props every once in a while. I think they got a couple good players. That Sharon Govich guy, I'm telling you, man, he is a flat out stud. He is good.
Well, they definitely got good play, and for some reason they're pretty good at bringing in free agents.
Right.
I mean, right now, obviously not because it was a mass exodus, but
the Huberdeau one kills them.
Yeah, and Kachuk and Gaudreau, both of them. The whole thing was weird, but once they get a good team, I think they're building a new arena starting right away here. I
Okay.
think by the time that's up and running, they should be starting to be competitive, and things should start looking up for them. I think
We'll see. But for this next year, it's all Oilers. Colby, thank you for joining the show.
Not a problem, buddy.
I'm sure I will talk to you very soon.
One thing you got to do, Cody, get up to Edmonton. Get up to Edmonton for a playoff game. You'll never see anything like it.
Oh yeah, I saw all those Spit and Chicklets videos, and those things were crazy.
Yeah,
the arena is something else, isn't it?
Nuts. I took my kid to Game 6 of the finals. I say that one pick there. It was insane. Just nuts.
Was that your first Stanley Cup game that you've been to?
No, it was his first.
His first.
Yeah, I'd been before, but
with the Draisaitl jersey.
He did, yeah.
and let's get Leon Draisaitl signed. What do you say?
Has to happen.
What's the number? Let's both guess the number.
Okay, I'm gonna say 13. I'm gonna say 13.5 for 8 years.
13.
And it's gonna be it's gonna be a low salary with huge bonuses.
What does McDavid make?
He's 12.5 right now, I believe.
12.5. All right, give me 13 on the dot. 8 years.
I would love it. It gives us a little wiggle room.
Well, all right. Well, hopefully I'm right about that. Again, Colby, thank you. Go Oilers.
You betcha, buddy. Let's have a good season.